Okay. Alright guys, I think we're actually live this time. Did literally just try to stream like a couple of minutes ago, but it dropped off, just lost internet connection. So yeah, we're currently running off the hotspot, but we are live. So guys, how are we feeling about the match? For me, just not good enough in all aspects really. Maybe our worst performance of the season. I know obviously we're battered by City. Obviously wasn't very good against Brentford as well. I feel like today was the first time I could actually point my finger at mistakes that Erik ten Hag made as our manager. So I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I wouldn't have started Donny van de Beek if I was Erik ten Hag. I don't think he gave us the running capabilities that we needed. I certainly don't think as well that he offered enough pressing that Bruno Fernandes typically would give us in the same side. Yeah, I mean, what else can we really say? I mean, top to bottom, just not good enough. Certainly, very, very poor performance, if you ask me. Just double checking everything still live here. Yep, we're good. We're golden. So, yeah, not good enough for me. Erik ten Hag, I don't think he should have started with Donny van de Beek on the pitch. I personally feel like he was more of a hindrance on the pitch today. He didn't give us a lot of pressing, a lot of energy. Certainly, the goal scored by Jacob Ramsey in the second half, fingers could have been pointed at Donny van de Beek for that, if you ask me. I'm looking at it. I'm seeing Donny van de Beek on the halfway line, whilst Jacob Ramsey runs into the box unopposed for a cutback. Should Donny have been there? I personally think so. I've seen Bruno Fernandes make those sort of late recovery runs. I've seen those runs blocked off previously. Now, we were set up to fail, really. Whenever we look at the actual team selection, there wasn't enough pressing in that midfield. That meant Villa could get forward very easily. Yeah, I mean, what else do we really need to say? I mean, it just screamed to me like we weren't ever at the races, really. We have a very small squad. I don't think that has helped us. Certainly for me, the lack of rotation that we've been able to implement at the club hasn't been good enough, because our squad is tiny. We have a very small squad, especially of players that Erik ten Hag seems to trust. We seem to have run out of steam. We've played 3 matches per week for pretty much a month straight at this point, so there certainly is cases to be made that United have run out of steam. I think personally for the midweek match against Aston Villa in the League Cup, I wouldn't mind heavy rotation. Like, if we go out of the League Cup but we win against Fulham next week, I think that's more important than trying to compete in the League Cup and subsequently having even more to play to say, because the Premier League has to be the priority. Top 4 has to be priority. We've seen today Newcastle United have moved further ahead of us, up to 4 points ahead of us now, with another great result at Southampton. So personally for me, I think a bit of rotation is needed. We've seen this under Ollie. We've seen Ollie played like something like 8 or 9 matches with the same 11. The 11 was playing very well, of course, but after 8-9 matches consecutive starts, players start to get tired. It's just natural. I do think our lack of squad depth has really exacerbated this issue. Obviously, we have Ronaldo as our only fit striker, seemingly. Of course, Martial came onto this, so it is good to see Anthony Martial back. I would like him to stay fit and hopefully get playing against Aston Villa midweek or against Fulham. I feel like, for me, I don't know how much Ronaldo is actively helping us. It feels like to me at times everything has to go through Ronaldo. We've seen today Diogo Dalot had managed to get free. Casemiro backed him out really well. Now there's an opportunity for a cutback. Marcus Rashford, I believe, was sitting at the penalty box, on the penalty spot, pretty much unmarked free for a cutback, and Dallo went to Ronaldo, who had triple coverage around him. Tyrone Mings, Konsa, Douglas Luiz were all in and around Ronaldo. The ball was never going to find its way to him, but that is just another example of poor decision making. I don't know if it's a case that we have players who make poor decisions, or if poor decisions are being made for us because we are subconsciously or consciously looking to find Ronaldo when available. I don't know how much that honestly helps us as a team. Certainly for me, it's a cause of concern. Real lack of goals in our team. We are we're in November now. Next match will be halfway through November, so by the time we actually have our next match in the Premier League, we'll be halfway through November, and our top goal scorer in the league has 4 goals. There is a serious chronic lack of goals in this team. It is a cause of concern. It is a cause of worry, really, because I don't back us to ever score more than a single goal in a match. Now, whenever we're keeping clean sheets and we're keeping the opposition out and we're winning games 1-0, do you know what? That's okay, because, like I said, we are scoring more than what they are. It's a simple game. Whoever scores most goal wins. So if we score 1, they score none, we have won the match. Personally, I don't think that we can compete in the latter stages of this season with the current striking options. I don't think there is enough there to get us competitive in the Premier League and in Europe or in the League Cups, FA Cups. Personally, for me, another striker is essential. Edison Cavani, of course, left the club in the summer. Cristiano Ronaldo wanted to leave the club in the summer, and Anthony Martial has been constantly injured this season. I believe he's 4 or 5 appearances all season, which it's just not enough. It's just not good enough. What else can be said? Marcus Rashford has done well at times through the middle, but he was very poor today. Very, very poor performance from Marcus Rashford. Really didn't get going. I don't think playing on the right hand side suits him. He's a player who always looks better whenever he's able to cut inside. He's an attacking player. He wants to cut in on the right foot. He wants to get shot away or get a pass away. Whenever he's stuck on the right, his crossing has never been a particular strong point, and he isn't strong enough on his left foot to be able to use that effectively as an offensive weapon. So I think the lack of Anthony, of course, today has really hindered us, because he gives us that balance on that right hand side, that inverted forward that Ten Hag likes. But yeah, not good enough top to bottom. A lot of causes for concern. I actually think the World Cup is coming at a good time for us, because I think we are genuinely running out of steam, running out of gas for the season. I think that the break will help. Obviously, quite a few of our players will be going to the World Cup, but quite a few will not, and I think that's key. If we manage to get a good training break over the World Cup, I know we're going to Spain to play Cadiz. I believe we've other friendlies lined up, so if we are able, of course, to get a couple of friendly matches, get some more work done on the training pitch, I think it'll benefit us. But for me, we definitely need further reinforcements up front. I think if we go, perhaps, if we want to go for like a Hollywood type player, someone like João Felix could be a really good option. Certainly for me, he just doesn't fit in at Atletico Madrid. He never really has. But I don't think we'll spend that sort of money. If we want to look at more affordable options, I have done an entire video on this. Striking options that Manchester United should seriously consider. Among them, Gonzalo Ramos, probably a 30-35 million pound player. Jonathan David would be fantastic. If we want to go a little bit more low key, someone perhaps a little bit cheaper, more affordable, if we're going to have a smaller budget in January, if indeed any budget at all, I think someone like Tyrone Mufc could be a real option from FC Lorient in France. Certainly doing very, very well in the French league, only outscored by Kylian Mbappe this season. Certainly a player who Manchester United should be looking at. 22 years old. There's still a lot of development in him. He's a bit of a diamond in the rough, but he might be exactly what we need. We need somebody. We need something, and I don't think somebody like Tyrone Moffi comes in and demands to start every week from the start. So if Anthony Martial is fit, we still will be able to deploy him through the middle. But long term, a proper goal scorer is needed. It was recommended last season by Ralph Rangnick. He had recommended Christopher Nkunku. He had recommended Erling Haaland, Julian Alvarez, many attacking players who, for me, Manchester United should be looking at, and they should have had a look at, but we neglected to do so. We showed a lack of ambition last season. I know, obviously, the excuse banded about that they wanted to save the funds for the new manager coming in. That just was completely not true. Just completely false. There was no intention of that. We started the season with Lisandro Martinez, Tyrell Malacia, and Christian Eriksen as our signings. We went into the season with the ideal that they would be enough. They weren't, and we quickly seen that in matches. We quickly seen that come to fruition. At the start of the season with Brentford, Brighton defeats, lack of goals, of course. Then we bring in Casemiro, bring in Anthony, who were never really expected signings. I just hope there's a bit of a budget left for Erik ten Hag to get some sort of a striking option in. Alternatively, if you want to look at the youth setup, someone maybe like a Charlie McNeil could come in for a couple of minutes, but he is very young, very raw, of course, still yet to physically develop fully. But there is a chronic lack of goals in our team. I don't know what the answer is within the players we have. Anthony Martial, we can't rely on him to stay fit. That is the truth of it. That is the top and bottom of that situation. Cristiano Ronaldo has looked very poor this season. He's missed 7 big chances, so those are 7 chances with an XG that is higher than 0.5. That favours the striker to score. So he has not been in good form, as well as not playing well and not being an effective member of the squad, certainly when he starts. Marcus Rashford, we know he's not a striker. He can be useful through the middle against teams who will play higher up the pitch. I think that's something that we can look at, and certainly it suits bigger games because Rashford is so good in those big games. But I mean, long term, we need striking options. Personally, for me, if we had a budget to do so, I would go for a Victor Osimhen. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and he'd be made for Erik ten Hag's system. But long term, certainly we need to go big on a striker. We've seen how devastating it can be in the Premier League this season. Man City went big on a striker in Erling Haaland, and of course Haaland is absolutely smashing it at Manchester City this year. I'm not saying that we should have went after Haaland. I don't think we ever really could have got him, but certainly goal scoring options is what we need. We need to decide if it's going to be through the middle, if we're going to strengthen out wide at 10 in terms of goal scorers, but we simply need to be putting the ball in the back of the net at a more consistent basis than what we have done, and that has certainly got to be the key. 18 goals in the Premier League by November, is that good enough? No, we know it's not good enough. Chronic lack of goals, 4 goals. Marcus Rashford with 4 goals, is our top goal scorer this season. Jadon Sancho has been well off the pace goal scoring wise. Bruno Fernandes hasn't been putting the ball in the back of the net. Anthony Martial has been injured. Anthony has been a little bit inconsistent fitting into a new team mid-season. So certainly for me, there is cause of concern in terms of striking options, and I think that's somewhere we need to back our manager with. Back him with a striker, back him with somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to get into the chat, guys, anybody you think we could look at a striker, how are we feeling after today's match? Very disappointing. Do we think Erik ten Hag got it wrong? Personally, for me, I don't think that he had the correct decisions. I would have personally played Fred over Van de Beek, pushed Christian Eriksen that little bit higher up the pitch. I think we really lacked Bruno Fernandes running. We really lacked his energy in the middle of the pitch, and I think that was a cause of concern for us today. Led certainly to at least one Aston Villa goal. I think Victor Lindelof had a very poor match as well. For me, just not good enough. He's always been a decent squad option, but I don't think long term he's the right player for us. Several times today he came out of his own his defensive line to try break up the play. We don't actually need that from our other centre back. Lisandro Martinez is the aggressor. We need somebody to sweep up in behind. Lindelof didn't do that. He left himself exposed against Ollie Watkins several times, and that was a hindrance to us in this match. I mean, certainly for me, very, very poor game from Victor Lindelof. Luke Shaw as well in the back line. he looked very shaky early on. I actually had said to my friends that I thought Tyrell Malacia could have come on and played at left back instead of Shaw. That Shaw was struggling with Leon Bailey's pace, his direct play, his running. Certainly, Luke Shaw did improve throughout the game. Yeah, but just not good enough all over the pitch. What do we think, guys? Do we think Eric Ten Hag got it wrong today playing Donny van de Beek? Do we think there's an issue with Ronaldo? Is there problems off the pitch? Because there does seem to be an awful lot of balls unnecessarily going into Ronaldo's feet, going to him, perhaps that we shouldn't have been playing. We saw Dalot do it in one instance in the second half. Rashford was free for a cutback on the penalty spot, but we couldn't find him. So yeah, I mean, certainly for me, cause for concern. We can see here just from the stats alone, 13 games, 7 wins, 4 losses as well. Just not quite good enough. Like, just not what we needed to be saying. 18 goals conceded, 19 scores. We've got a minus goal difference after 13 matches. It's just not good enough. Obviously, defensively, a lot of those goals came against City, Brentford, and today, so that was to be expected. Really, that is bumped that number up immeasurably. But we're lagging. Sorry, guys, we're just lagging here. Let me see what I can do. This internet's so poor. Sorry, guys. Might lose connection here. I really hope I don't. Come on. Bitrate's really poor. It's always whenever I'm trying to go live, does the internet just go wrong? Let me see if my hotspot can speed things up. I'll stay on here another while, talk about the game. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'll have to watch this back to see if I can even upload this video. Might have to generally re-record. Hotspot is hotspot on? Hotspot is on. So if we can quickly jump on the hotspot, I would appreciate it. Come on. Come on. There we are. We are live. Again. There we go, we are live. Sorry guys for the technical difficulties, of course. I'll have to watch the stream back to make sure if it's actually uploadable. It might not be, so I do apologise for that. Internet has been a bit slow. We are currently dealing with issues with BT. Yeah, so what I was saying about the match, basically things could be a lot better. I do worry for us the rest of the season. Certainly for me, there's cause for concern. I do think that a bit of January reinforcements are needed. I think that there hasn't been enough backing off the manager, certainly with attacking players. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, we know, wanted to leave in the summer. We should have brought another forward option in. Anthony has scored 3 goals so far this season, but he isn't a goal scoring monster like it isn't really his game. He is more of the creative type player. We need more goals, and especially through the middle of the pitch. For me, someone like an Ozimhen is absolutely vital. I think as well we need genuine midfield reinforcements. I don't think there's been enough from the midfield so far this season. I think there's a lack of options. We are completely relying on Christian Eriksen, Casemiro and Bruno. We can see the drop off in quality when Donny van de Beek played today. It wasn't good enough. Lack of pressing, lack of energy from van de Beek. He didn't show enough for the ball. But our options on the bench weren't much better. Scott McTominay, we know, typically isn't very good in these matches against lower blocks where there's less space. He's a player, he's good in big games when he has opposition coming at him to be combative, but he's just not good enough on the ball. Fred could have offered a little bit of energy. I personally might have played Fred over Van de Beek today, but I do think that there certainly is a real need for genuine reinforcements in that midfield area. We know that Eric Ten Hag has been backed. He has been backed with a lot of money, but he hasn't been backed with a lot of players. A lot of players we overspent on. We spent all summer sitting telling the press, telling other agents, etc., we will not be overpaying for players. We went out and overpaid for everybody, so that wasn't quite good enough. Yes, guys. So what I was saying. How are we feeling about the rest of the season? Do we feel a bit concerned Personally, I would be worried about the lack of goals, about our defence as well. I think without Varane, there's a massive drop in quality. Lisandro Martinez looks busier every match if Varane isn't playing. Varane obviously complements Martinez very, very well. I think Victor Lindelof tried to be overly aggressive today. I don't think it actually suits his game that much. He's a good reader of the game and a good sweeper, but I don't actually think, in terms of being that aggressor, that it's his natural game. I don't think it suited him. Personally, for me, I think Martinez is more than capable of being the aggressor in that backline. I think certainly Victor Lindelof should have sat back and just done that sweeping role in behind that Varane has done very well for us. What I was saying as well, I've seen a couple of people not happy with David De Gea's performance. I don't think distribution wise he was particularly good today. Couldn't do a lot with the goals. The Jacob Ramsey goal, he was just put it in the far corner. Nothing he could do about that. The Digne free kick, we knew what he was going to try to do before it. Obviously, knowing what he's going to do and actually stopping it is two different things. Very hard to stop a free kick that's executed that well. Yeah, the other goal, the Bailey one, I think he could have done a bit better with. I don't know why he went with his feet. If he would have went with his hands, perhaps he could have got down in time to save it. But I don't think David De Gea had the best of matches today, but he certainly wasn't the worst performer on the pitch. Yeah, what do we think about Ronaldo? A lot has been made, as always, about his performance. A lot has been discussed. We've seen online a lot of people coming out saying that Ronaldo is just past it. Personally, for me, I think he still could have a place in the team, but I don't know if Ronaldo as a starting striker this season is really the option. I think Anthony Martial, when he has played, has looked absolutely fantastic. It's about keeping Martial fit, which is an absolute battle in its own right. Certainly for me, he is a player who struggles an awful lot with his injuries. But I think what we are struggling from is a genuine lack of form across our forwards. Jadon Sancho has been in and out of form all year. Certainly at the minute he isn't even in the team. Marcus Rashford has scored goals, but he hasn't always had the highest levels of performances. I don't think today his performance was good at all, really. He was quite anonymous. He was dealt with very well by the Aston Villa backline. Anthony Martial, of course, a lot of goals in very little minutes, a couple of assists, has looked very good, but it's just keeping him fit. Ronaldo not finding the goal on a consistent enough basis. Again, like, it's 3 goals all season for Ronaldo. It's just not good enough. I think Garnacho has looked very exciting, but we have to have realistic expectations for Garnacho. He is only 18 years old. He's a very young player. He's a lot of potential ahead of him, a lot of promise and a lot of talent, but I mean, we can't be relying on 18-year-old Alejandro Garnacho to be pulling us out of holds. Yeah, Anthony in and out of form a little bit, can look very good from time to time. It has been injured a worrying amount. We were told that it was a small knock that he had sustained, but he's been out for 12 days now. He's unlikely to play against Aston Villa in the League Cup, so I don't actually know what is happening there. I don't know if it's a case that he's thinking about the World Cup, if he's thinking about other things, but little cause for concern there for me. And other attacking options, you know, Bruno Fernandes not been found in the back of the net on a consistent basis this season. Certainly nowhere near compared to the heights he's hit in many other seasons. Definitely worry for me. Yeah, I mean, get in the comments, guys. What do you think? What went wrong today? What should we have done better? Personally, I don't think Van de Beek should have played. I think he can be a player who can be useful when we have a lot of possession, but we didn't have enough control of the ball today. Far too much of our possession was between the centre backs, which meant that he wasn't getting the ball on the edge of the box where he can operate quite effectively. I think Christian Eriksen looked like our best creative player today. He certainly had quite a few switches of play that were quite good, quite eye-catching, but on the whole, his overall game wasn't the best. Casemiro, I mean, yet wasn't the best in possession, but certainly broke up the play very well. Had a really nice tackle on the edge of our box. For me, I do think Casemiro is a player who, even when he's not having a great match on the ball, off the ball, he is always absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'll just let me put this in the chat real quick. yeah, so if you want to get your chats in, get your comments in, we'll read them all out, respond to them always, of course. It's an interactive community here. I talk to everybody. Certainly for me, that today was just not good enough, top to bottom. I think Erik ten Hag made a couple of mistakes. I think a lot of our players were very poor today. I do feel like there wasn't enough energy, really. I don't know if that's a case of us having played so many matches in this month. Obviously, we have played 3 matches per month all through October, through November, for most of September, so it has definitely had an impact on us. Before that, obviously, we had the international break as well. I know why we're having all these matches, trying to fit them all in before the World Cup, but I don't think it's actually helped us at all. But certainly he has causes for concern. I think the World Cup break is coming at a good time for us. I think that definitely we could do with that break. We can do with a training break. Players won't be going to the World Cup. I reckon probably about 7 or 8 of our first team squad won't be going to the World Cup, and with some teams perhaps going out in the group, maybe we can get some training done over the break and really start to work on systems and stuff, because we haven't had enough control over the ball in a lot of games for me. Obviously today we did have the majority of possession, but it was still causes for concern. Definitely feel like there has to be greater levels of control in midfield for me. We can hold the ball very well between our centre backs, but that isn't how we're set up to play. Teams like Liverpool are set up to play by holding the ball between their backline. We'll see Van Dijk, we'll see Joel Matip, Trent having a lot of touches and stuff along that backline and that halfway line. That suits their game plan, but we don't technically play like that. We do prefer to have the ball higher up the pitch. We need to hold it more in midfield. I think Casemiro as our go-to guy to play out is very good, but I feel like because he is the go-to guy, he naturally sits deeper, so that does kind of hold our line back that little bit further. So I think if we can start to hold the ball more between the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Christian Eriksen, I think that can help. We'll notice a lot as well whenever Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw come up into midfield and invert, that we hold the ball a lot better. Obviously we have more bodies in there, and a lot of players who are technically proficient and good on the ball. It definitely helps us with our build-up. I think not having Bruno today was a big miss. His energy and running is so underrated for us. I know sometimes it can look like headless chicken type pressing where he just sort of chases the ball and runs after players, but it definitely is very effective for us. I think that's something that we definitely lacked today. Donny van de Beek didn't have the particularly good match. He wasn't involved offensively or defensively. I think, Joe, I'm going to say it as well, I just think Rashford was very, very poor today. Just wasn't on the ball anywhere near enough. Didn't get enough touches, enough balls in near around the box. So yeah, definitely for me, a lot to improve upon, a lot that we could have done a lot better. I think we do look like a team that's running out of steam. I don't know what you guys think about that, if you agree with me, but for me, I don't think that we look particularly energised. Like the pressing was there today, like there was real attacking impetus both on and off the ball. We were quite passive, and a lot of our play was passive. I actually felt better when Aston Villa went into a low block and tried to defend, because it actually meant that we wouldn't have to try to defend ourselves. I think defensively we were really poor today. It's obviously been a very big strength of ours in recent weeks, is the ability to keep clean sheets. We had 6 clean sheets in the last 7 matches before today, so I think defensively our foundations were rocked, and it certainly didn't help us. Whenever we are able to shut teams out, we give ourselves a really good chance. I always feel like we're capable of scoring a goal, but it's one goal. It's always one goal. And in games where we can defend well, keep the other team out, hold the ball, not let a lot of chances away, I feel like we have a much better chance of winning. Obviously, whenever we fail to score first, like we did today, and we have to go chasing the game, it's something that I don't think we've shown enough of this season. I personally, from memory, I think the only time we've came back this season was against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. It was poor, because it was a poor enough game there. We should have won, but to me personally today was not good enough. Seeing a couple of people as well saying we potentially could have had penalties. I think that's maybe something we could debate. Certainly for me, Emi Martinez came out Alanga got to the ball first. He headed the ball and it came off Martinez, and Martinez proceeded just to clothesline him with his arm and his elbow. So, there could have been a potential penalty shout there. It certainly wouldn't surprise me if it went against us, because we've had very poor refereeing decisions all season. I think every United fan could agree with that. And I definitely think that in terms of overall play, we haven't had enough penalties this season. Certainly for me, ever since Jurgen Klopp came out and complained and said that United were getting all these penalties, that Manchester United have had a real drop off in the level of penalties. A lot of clear penalties have gone against us. A lot, like, we've had some of the worst refereeing decisions I've seen all season. Like, think back to that. There's Real Sociedad match at Old Trafford. We've seen that ridiculous handball given against Lisandro Martinez. Against Chelsea as well, Scott McTominay was holding his man, but we see that every week. We see so many instances of players just grabbing and holding on to players. Tyrone Mings did it to Ronaldo today and nothing was given. As a matter of fact, Ronaldo got a yellow card for violent conduct somehow, which I thought was just ridiculous. So I definitely think the standard of refereeing in the Premier League is a big cause for concern. Yes, guys, so any thoughts? Anybody want to get anything in the comments? We can discuss more. Seen a couple of results for the other matches today, some interesting scorelines. Definitely seemed to be an interesting match with West Ham. Referee has had a lot to say in the result of that match. Newcastle looking good again. They're 4 points ahead of us now. Obviously, we still have a game in hand, but it's better to have points on the table than games in hand, in my opinion. You're always safer with the points in the bag. I think our inability to beat them at Old Trafford might come back to haunt us. I think that they're looking quite good for a top 4 spot right now. So I think that it'll probably be between ourselves, Tottenham Hotspur, Liverpool, etc. to compete for that final spot. But Newcastle's certainly looking very good. Would be a cause of concern. I think as well, coming into our next match against Fulham, we're going to be in for another very tough match. Fulham gave City a really good match yesterday at the Etihad. They've definitely improved this season. I had written Fulham off at the start of the season as one of those teams that could probably just be up and down, as they so often are in the Premier League, but it'll be a very tough match. Alexander Mitrovic, very, very good form. He'll fancy himself against Victor Lindelof next week if he plays. And Andreas Pereira coming back to Old Trafford as well, definitely something to be watching out for. Former players always seem to score against us, so I wouldn't be surprised if Andreas Pereira gets himself on the score sheet against us next week if we defend like we did today. But yeah, I mean, World Cup definitely coming at a good time for me. Get us a break, get our players rested. We don't have big enough of a squad, and our overall depth isn't good enough for us to be able to rotate, certainly. And I think that the break will help us. I think, Joe, I genuinely think that Real Sociedad match at home has thrown a real spanner in the works. If we had won that match, we definitely could have rotated a bit more in the Europa League this season. Perhaps we'd have better energy levels if we had, but that's if buts and maybes. We have to deal with the facts, and the facts were today we weren't good enough. Certainly, both on and off the ball wasn't particularly good today. A lot went wrong. I feel like as well today was the first time I felt Erik ten Hag was indecisive. He didn't make his changes early enough. There was no reason why Anthony Martial shouldn't have come on at half time. I personally would have put Fred on for a bit more energy in that midfield. We could have pushed Christian Eriksen further up the pitch, where he could have had more of a say. Don't think Donny van de Beek has covered himself in glory with these previous 2 matches. I know obviously he needs minutes to start to look good. It's something that you can't look good without having match fitness, but when you're on the pitch you have to do more for me. I think that's a real cause for concern. His lack of form, it just goes to show that we can't go without Bruno. Personally, I think Bruno Fernandes is one of our most important players. I know he hasn't been great in terms of goals and assists, but in terms of his overall pressing and his energy, it's something that we need. There we go. Comment from Sebastian. That's the problem. You put Van de Beek to start the game on the bench. Yeah, exactly. We lost the game because the midfield was off. You're absolutely right, Sebastian. Certainly Van de Beek's lack of energy and it hurt us. Like, I definitely think at times this season when he has been on, he hasn't shown enough for the ball. If he can get on the ball and get passing, I know he is a good passer of the ball, but you have to show for the. We see Scott McTominay every week hide from the ball, for want of a better word. Not show himself, not be available for passes. Donny van de Beek, for me, has done the exact same this past 2 matches, and I don't think that's something that is good enough. So I do think you're absolutely right there, Sebastian. Completely agree with you that he basically just started off and we lost the midfield, and when we lose the midfield, it's a cause for concern. Our midfield has been very good this season, for the most part. Casemiro and Eriksen, Bruno. But there only is so much you can get out of 3 players before we need to start rotating. But we need to have better options on the bench who we can play. Whenever Man City want to rest Kevin De Bruyne, they can put on Gundogan, or they can put on Bernardo Silva in the midfield. They could even play Jack Grealish in there. Whenever Arsenal want to rest, they've got quality depth as well. We see at Chelsea as well. Like, Chelsea are starting matches with Mateo Kovacic on the bench. Kovacic will start every week for Manchester United. We need that kind of depth. It's the exact same like at Tottenham Hotspur. They typically play with the 2, so if it's Højbjerg and Bentancur, they have Basuma on the bench who can come on to play. So I definitely think United need more depth, more options on that bench who we can rotate with. So I definitely think that's a very good point about our midfield. Any other questions, comments, you guys get them in. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss. I'll stay on live here for another while as well. My internet finally seems to be working, so we'll not end the stream too early whenever we are actually live and everything's working okay. Yeah. What do you think about the forward options? Real lack of goals this season. Only 18 scored by our 13th match in the league. Our top goal scorer in the Premier League has only 4 goals all season. That is an absolute worry for me, is a lack of goals. Whenever we don't create a lot and we don't score a lot of goals, we're relying on the defence to keep clean sheets. Now, the defence was poor, but definitely for me there was opportunities today where we could have scored. Ronaldo was a little bit poor. I don't think his headed opportunity in the first half was particularly good. I think he had the option to put it left or right of Martinez and it went straight at him. Rashford very quiet today. Elanga quiet again. I don't think Anthony Elanga is good enough. I think like when we see Garnacho play, I think he looks so much better, so much more dangerous because he's brave and he's got that technical skill that you need. But we can't rely on Garnacho. He is only 18. It is a cause of concern. I think Rashford has been in and out of form. Now, he's been found in the back of the net and he has been scoring, so that's very good. But he has to up his overall performance. Whenever his performance is better and he's getting better shots in on goal, he's getting more opportunities in the game, we know that he can actually start to influence things. Keeping Martial fit is a big one for me. Definitely think with Anthony Martial not being fit, we have looked poor up front, definitely for me. Certainly as well, Jadon Sancho's form is a little bit concerning. A couple of weeks back I did do a video saying that we needed to talk about Sancho and we needed to talk about the lack of form that he was showing then. It's more of an issue now because he hasn't improved. He doesn't look like a player who's playing with confidence. He's playing within himself. He's definitely not reaching the levels that we thought we had with him. It's concerning for me. I want to see Sancho do well. He's definitely a player I really like. I really like how he plays the game, how he gets on the ball, creates chances. But I don't think we have enough possession of the ball higher up the pitch to get the best out of players like Sancho and Van de Beek. So I do think that is something we need to work on. I think this is something that will come in time. What we have to remember is we are only we're only a couple of weeks into this, and a couple of months into the overall project. It will take time for in weeks and months to come that we will get better for it. Looks like my internet's playing about again, guys, so I might actually have to just leave the stream here. Yeah, guys, that'll pretty much wrap us up. My internet is just dying, so I'll leave it here before it gets any worse. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you do enjoy the content, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you want to support us. I'll see you in the next one. We'll be talking about the Villa match during the week and we'll be live after that match again. Apologies for the poor internet today. It is something I will get fixed for the next stream. So yeah, guys, thanks very much for watching. We'll just end it there. Much appreciated, all the support and everything. All right, guys, bye. We will just end there.